It's early summer in 1914, and political tensions in Europe are on the brink of boiling over. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, rides in a motorcade through Sarajevo, defiant after just surviving a failed assassination attempt earlier that morning. His destination? A local hospital where wounded members of his entourage are being treated. But fate had other plans that day. The Archduke's driver made a wrong turn down a narrow street and stalls the vehicle. From the crowded sidewalk, a 19-year-old Bosnian Serb steps forward, armed with a Browning semi-automatic pistol. What happens in those next fleeting moments sets off a chain of events that plunge the world into one of the deadliest wars humanity has ever seen. But who was this young assassin? What drove him to such a shocking act? And how did one of the most powerful empires on Earth allow its heir to become so vulnerable?
Franz Ferdinand.
The assassination of the Archduke of Austria.
Franz Ferdinand.
Shot Archduke Ferdinand.
World War I. 20 million. Dead.
To fully grasp the significance of Archduke Franz Ferdinand's assassination, we need to look at the political climate of Europe in 1914. Austria-Hungary was the second largest country in the world geographically and third in population. Across the continent, intense feelings of nationalism were on the rise among ethnic groups struggling to break free from the tangled web of political alliances, intense militarism, imperial ambitions, and diplomatic tensions that were creating a volatile and unstable environment. Nowhere was this nationalist sentiment stronger than among the Serbs and other South Slavic peoples who had occupied the Balkans since the 7th century. Having survived both the Byzantine and Ottoman empires, feelings of pan-Slavism ran strong, leading to a desire for Serbs across Europe to unite as one independent nation. The movement suffered a significant setback in 1908 when Austria-Hungary officially annexed Bosnia and Herzegovina, which had a substantial Serb population. Fully aware of Serbia's ambitions to unite the South Slavs, the Austro-Hungarian Empire's policies marginalized and suppressed Slavic culture and political expression. But instead of quelling Serbian nationalist sentiment, the monarchy's repressive policies further fueled resentment and created a strong sense of injustice among the Serbs. This drive for freedom wasn't simply about political sovereignty, but also about preserving and celebrating their distinct cultural and ethnic identity, which the Serbs felt was under constant threat from Austro-Hungarian dominance. As the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was seen by most Serbian nationalists as a symbol of imperial oppression, making him a prime target for Serbian aggression. Gavrilo Princip was born on July 25, 1894, in the village of Oblai in Bosnia and Herzegovina. He was the second of 9 children, though only 3 of his siblings survived infancy, reflecting the harsh living condition Princip's family was forced to endure. A voracious reader who was heavily influenced by the works of Russian anarchists and revolutionaries, Princip was recruited into an organization called Mlada Bosna, Young Bosnia, by a friend named Danilo Ilic. The group was composed primarily of students and intellectuals who sought to use violence to overthrow Austro-Hungarian rule and unite the South Slavs. In 1912, Princip was expelled from school for his antics relating to an anti-Austrian demonstration he was part of in Sarajevo, during which a Hungarian flag was burned in protest. In October of that year, the First Balkan War broke out between the rapidly declining Ottoman Empire and the kingdoms of Bulgaria, Serbia, Greece, and Montenegro. Princip volunteered to fight with the Komote, the Serbian army's irregular forces, but was rejected for being too small and weak. Taking this as a personal attack on his manhood, Princip vowed to make his mark for the cause in a dramatic and high-profile way. An organization known as the Black Hand would help him fulfill that promise. Officially named Ujedinjenie ili Smrt, Unification or Death in English, the Black Hand was formed in 1901 by officers in the Army of the Kingdom of Serbia. The leader of the group was Dragutin Dimitrijević, a Serbian named Apis. The Black Hand was committed to the same nationalist goals as Mlada Bosna, but with a more organized and clandestine structure. The Black Hand had been planning to strike a blow against Austro-Hungarian rule for some time, and the Archduke's visit to Sarajevo provided an opportunity that was too good to pass up. Working together, Apis and Danilo Ilić plot the assassination, which will be carried out by Gavrilo Princip, Nedeljko Čabranović, Trifko Grabez, Vaso Čubrilović, Jeko Popović, and Mohamed Mamebesic. The significance of assassinating the Archduke on the Serbian holiday of Vidovdan is precisely the dramatic flair he has been dreaming of. In the days leading up to Franz Ferdinand's visit, the assassins received weapons and explosives training from the military officers in the Black Hand. Apis also provides forged documents enabling the conspirators to travel from Belgrade to Sarajevo. The guns and grenades are smuggled separately into Bosnia and Herzegovina. Once the killers and their weapons are reunited in Sarajevo, the plan is simple. The assassins are to take up positions along the parade route and wait. When the opportunity presents itself, they are to kill the Archduke and his wife. To avoid being arrested and forced to give up their co-conspirators, each assassin carries a cyanide capsule that they are to take immediately after carrying out their mission. For Princip, Nedeljko Čabranović, and Trifko Grabez, who are all terminally ill with tuberculosis, dying for the cause is a far more glorious way to go out than consumption. For the other three assassins, Vaso Čubrilović, Jeko Popović, and Mohamed Mamebesic, sacrificing themselves would prove more difficult. At 10 a.m. on the morning of June 28th, Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his entourage arrive by train in the city of Sarajevo. The Archduke departs the train station in an open-top Grafenstief automobile, the third vehicle of a 6-car caravan. The 1.5-mile parade route from the train station to City Hall is a straight shot along Apple Quay, a main thoroughfare along which Gavrilo Princip and his co-conspirators have taken up positions. Because the Archduke believes a military presence would send the wrong message to the people of Sarajevo, there are no soldiers protecting him and Sophie that day. 120 policemen are stationed along Apple Quay, but they lack the training and organization to recognize or stop such an organized assassination attempt. The first would-be assassins the motorcade reaches are Mohamed Mamebesic and Vaso Čubrilović, but both fail to act, citing the presence of nearby police officers. As the motorcade passes the central police station, 19-year-old Nedeljko Čabranović sees his opportunity and acts. Armed with a hand grenade, Čabranović lobs the explosive at the passing convertible. The driver, Leopold Leica, sees the grenade flying toward the car and accelerates to avoid the projectile. Because the explosive has a 10-second delay, the grenade bounces off the retracted roof of the vehicle and rolls under the next car in the motorcade before detonating. As the remaining cars in the motorcade race away from the scene, Nedeljko Čabranović attempts to commit suicide by chewing a cyanide capsule and jumping into the Mlečka River. Unfortunately for Čabranović, the cyanide capsule is expired and merely causes him to vomit, and the river is less than a foot deep. So instead of dying a hero for the cause, the would-be assassin is pulled from the river by police and arrested. With the motorcade now racing through the city, 4 of the remaining 5 assassins abandon the plot and vanish into the crowd. Gavrilo Princip, however, is unwilling to give up, so he relocates to a new position and waits along the originally planned return route of the motorcade. At 11 a.m., Franz Ferdinand and his entourage leave City Hall. The group is scheduled to visit the newly opened City Museum of Sarajevo, but the Archduke decides to visit the hospital where the victims of Chapranovic's attack are recovering instead. Unfortunately for Franz and Josephine, the conversation about altering the motorcade route is conducted entirely in German, a language that neither Leopold Leica nor another Czech driver speaks. And since no one bothered to translate for them, both chauffeurs assume they are taking the widely published return route along Franz Joseph Street. At 11:30 a.m., Leopold Leica makes his ill-fated turn onto the side street that connects Apel Quay and Franz Joseph Street. Realizing his mistake, Leica attempts to turn the car around and accidentally stalls it in front of Schiller's Deli, where Gavrilo Princip and Mihailo Persara just so happen to be waiting. There is a policeman nearby, but Princip isn't about to let this second chance pass. While Persara distracts the policeman, Princip draws his Browning FN Model 1910 semi-automatic pistol and fires into the Archduke's vehicle. The first shot hits Franz Ferdinand in the neck, and the second strikes Duchess Sophie in the abdomen. Both die within minutes of being shot. Like Nedeljko Chapranovic, Princip swallows a cyanide capsule, but he too survives. When the poison fails to kill him, the assassin tries to shoot himself, but is quickly disarmed and brutally beaten by onlookers before the police can place him under arrest. Following their arrests, Gavrilo Princip and Nedeljko Chapranovic are subjected to intense interrogations and possibly torture, but they give up little information. It's only after Danilo Ilic is picked up in a general sweep of suspects that the authorities are able to piece together exactly who was involved in the Archduke's murder. Vaso Trubilovic, Cveco Popovic, and Trifko Grabez are arrested almost immediately, while Mohamed Mamabesic manages to escape to Montenegro before eventually being tracked down by authorities. The trial of the conspirators takes place in October 1914, with all 8 defendants being found guilty. In the weeks following the assassination, Austria-Hungary, with the backing of Germany, issued an ultimatum to Serbia that contained a series of demands aimed at curbing anti-Austrian activities and eliminating nationalist groups. Serbia accepted most of the demands, but rejected some that infringed on its sovereignty. As a result, Austria-Hungary found the response unsatisfactory and declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914. What began as a regional conflict between Austria-Hungary and Serbia quickly exploded into a full-scale global war involving all the major powers of Europe and their colonies. By the time World War I ended 5 years after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, approximately 20 million soldiers and civilians had lost their lives, making it one of the deadliest events in human history.